Alright folks, Pliskin by 51mm here, and tonight I'm going to attempt to do my 1 year in overview of the M1A Scout Squad NBS, or as I have dubbed it, the M14A4. I will warn you here at the start of the video that I've been under the weather today for some unknown reason. I do not know what's going on. I believe it's allergies, but I've been feeling strange in other places. And whenever I get sick or have any sinus congestion from allergies or the common cold or whatever, I don't know why, I will slur my words or say things wrong or backwards. So if I mess up at any point talking wise, or be halfway talking through a sentence like I am right now, and then suddenly I say something completely wrong or don't pronounce a word completely, just know it's because I feel like shit, and that's why. So you've been warned. Alright, where to begin? Alright, so I got this rifle June 2022 for a lot of money. A lot of money. I'll just say that. I paid more for this than I did my M1A loaded. Although you gotta add Joe Bite Me prices in there as well. So you can't necessarily fault Springfield for this being more expensive. The world has changed several times since when I bought my M1A loaded. Politically, geographically, mentally, for people. So, you know, you gotta take that into account. So I bought this, and basically right from the get-go just started shooting it. And got it sighted in on its irons. And I will say, in the year that I've owned it, I will say too that I don't know, it's almost kind of like like I'd say it's a draw. The amount of ammo I've ran through this one compared to my first one, my first M1A loaded, when I first got it. Because I remember when I bought my M1A loaded, ZQI 7.62 and Perfecta were more common at Walmart and for a lot less money. So I was able to shoot it quite a bit when I first got it. But the difference being is I'm able to buy a larger variety of ammo now than I was back then. So needless to say, nonetheless, I have actually shot this one probably just about as much. I wouldn't say I've put as many rounds through this one. If I'm going to be safe, I'd probably say I've put about maybe 500 through it by now. Because I put a bunch of those 100 round packs and bunches of those 50 round packs through it. And several PMC X-Tac 7.62 NATOs. 20 rounds of these. 20 rounds of these go by like nothing once you start shooting. But it does shoot this stuff pretty good. But that being said, I put untold amount of ammo through this. And just like my other one, the reliability is unparalleled. This little gun, this M1A, it shoots. I mean, if you have a 20 round mag and you're able to, you know, keep pulling the trigger, she'll fire. Had no jams or stoppages with it whatsoever. And if I've had any issues, it's mostly the magazines. Because I do have, like this magazine here, for example, this is a Winchester surplus mag from like Vietnam era. So mags are mostly to blame for any reliability problems, should they arise. But anyway, I have upgraded it quite a bit, as you've all been witness to. This gun did not stay in its host stock for but a few months until I bought a Delta 14 stock. Now, the Delta 14 stock I bought for it was the one they offer on their website, and it's at the very bottom. And it comes with a Comes with this Mesa adapter back here, a pistol grip, the stock itself, all the hardware to install it, and a folding buttstock. Let me go get the folding buttstock. I forgot to bring it in here. Alright, here is the folding buttstock. It's just been sitting gathering dust now. I don't need it no more. I mean, I could switch it out, and I have thought about going in between this stock and the Delta 14, or not Delta 14, but the buffer tube. See, there I go, messing up words. Good thing I warned you all about that, right? But I've also decided not to do that because it is very hard to keep the buffer tube aligned along with that stock. It came with like a little ring that goes around the back that you use on AR-15s. It's supposed to go right there, but I can't get mine to go on for whatever reason. So I got it tight and then just left it alone. It ain't moved or rotated since. But the things I have done to upgrade this rifle stock, of course, naturally it's the Delta 14, probably one of the best stocks you can get on the market for an M1A M14 rifle. But of course, you got that, and the pistol grips, the grip system, stock set system, I should be calling it, are Daniel Defense. And these are in Tornado Gray. Got buttstock, rear pistol grip, and then the foregrip. Very good stock set. Really helps with taming the recoil on the M1A M14 as well. Got a AMS like long style scout mount. It brackets up here and hooks in back here in the dovetail. It basically, this rail right here makes your M1A a flat top AR-15 basically. We did JB weld it down because it was having some mounting issues. Not necessarily the design of this, but it would rattle itself loose. So we just put blue Loctite on the screws and JB welded it to it like we did my big M1A. So this rifle's permanently a flat top, to say the least. But you can put this type rail on any M1A that does not have a national match barrel. You can put it on an M1A standard with a 22-inch barrel, M1A Scout Squad with an 18-inch barrel, which is what this is. And you can put it on an M1A SOCOM with a 16-inch barrel. You can't put them on M1As with a national match barrel though, because the barrel profile back here is too thick for this scope mount to go around. So it is what it is, but for all the others, this is good to go. And the world of optics for this gun, I can just do just about anything. Currently I've got a Primary Arms SLX3 three power scope micro prism. Acts like an ACOG, and it's got the ACSS reticle in it, and it's in 308 calibration. So, and that's it. The combination of all these, the stock, the scope rail, and this optic, this rifle is hell of a shooter. This thing is very accurate. I have shot it out to 100 yards with an actual rifle scope on it. It grouped very tight, and even with the little ACSS 3 power, I'm able to hit out to 100 yards and group really damn good with just ball ammo. So that's a big plus. On the outside of the gun, other than the scope mount, you guys are all familiar. I got a Russian Perst 3. Or no, Russian Perst 4, my bad. Green laser. It's got IR capability. And I've got the little switch over here to turn it on and off and adjust the power. It's got strobe mode too. Oops, my bad. Okay, so that's the Perst 4, and then on the other side of the gun is a Surefire clone M300, and I've got it slaved to the foregrip with a pressure pad. For nighttime shooting, that helps quite a bit in the dark. And then behind the Perst 4, I have a custom rail cover that I made. It's a Confederate flag, and I replaced the stars with iron crosses, and it's got ace of spades on where the red field would be. And on the bottom, we've got a Magpul rail cover here for extra grip. And I left this open, these ports here open, because the gas tube's right there to let gas out. So it can, that makes cleaning it easier too, because all that crud's coming out of the bottom and not staying in the stock. So yes, all these going together, it's a very good combination. The buffer tube that I used to put the Daniel Defense stock on it is a Bravo Company AR-15 buffer tube. So those are the external attachments that help with everything from shooting in the dark to hip firing or lasering a target. Or this laser actually helps aiming with there's a runaway battery right there. But Viz laser helps aiming at targets because it's like a double confirmation of where your point of aim is. I will show internal upgrades as well. Alright, for internal upgrades, so far all I have done is add a National Match Sadlac spring guide. As you can see, and I've showed this with my other M1A, but as you can see there, how the spring is all cylindrical along the guide rod, and it isn't all wavy or bunched. That's what you want, because this allows, with this being straight like this, everything in the gun cycles backwards and forwards in that kind of same pattern. There's no inconsistency with how the gun cycles. So that helps with accuracy. And I will say this too. If you are making plans in your head to go ahead and buy an M1A, go ahead and get that spring guide. Don't wait. Make that one of the first upgrades, because then that allows the gun to settle with its harmonics with that spring guide already installed. I should have done that. If I had known, I should have done that with my M1A loaded, because I had it for about 2 or 3 years before I added the National Match spring guide to it. And it makes a difference, but I noticed when I put it in, first going from the flat standard lightning cut spring guide that Springfield puts in there to the cylindrical National Match spring guide, is that it took my M1A a little bit to realize and start showing that accuracy. And after it broke in, the harmonics got used to that cylindrical spring guide there, and the recoil and the cycling, its groups came right in. And my big M1A, my M1A loaded, it shoots unreal now, especially since I put it in that wood stock, and that tightened up the way the action seats into the stock, and the lockup between the trigger group and the action with that wood stock. That rifle is unreal now. But if I had known from the word go that that was an upgrade that needed to be done, or something that was beneficial, I'd have done it right away instead of wait. So if you guys are planning on getting an M1A, just go ahead and get a National Match spring guide. It will help tremendously with your M1A M14. It's unreal. Other internal upgrades here. Don't mind the tools. I did not need those tools to take the M1A apart. I had to get those tools out of the way to get to my Allen wrenches in order to get an Allen wrench to go into the little hole here in the back of the trigger group. Now the trigger group for this M1A is the M1A loaded trigger group. And the reason I have to use this is because despite the NBS Scout Squad being a very solid rifle and very accurate, very reliable, the only thing that was amiss with it was its trigger group. And the trigger group for the NBS is now with the M1A loaded. But this is the national match trigger group that my M1A loaded came with. So it even has the original paint from the very first paint job I did on it all those years ago, back in September 2015. So, but I bring this up as a point, even though this trigger group belongs to another rifle, a national match trigger group upgrade for your M14 would also help, because that smoother trigger and faster hammer release on your M1A and that finer, crisper two-stage trigger pull when you're able to get up onto the second stage after, you know, you flip it on fire and you pull to that second stage and then before you break, it's so much more crisp and accurate and, you know, fast with this trigger group than the one that came with the Scout Squad. The reason I couldn't use the Scout Squad's trigger group is because this little fin here that locks to the receiver, it was bent outward. So one of these days I'll get around to buying another national match trigger group for this gun and then move this trigger back to the M1A loaded. But until then, I'm going to keep this one with this gun, because the regular Scout Squad trigger group does okay in the M1A loaded. Now, that's not to say one trigger group is, significantly better than the other. They have their differences. The trigger pull on the the Scout Squad's trigger group is real heavy, and it drags real low even on the two-stage. It's doable. I can make it work with the M1A loaded, but it's not. It doesn't hold a candle to the national match M1A loaded trigger group. See, I'm messing up my words. It sucks. But there is a difference there. But you can get a standard trigger group to work just as good, but it doesn't. The difference between them is night and day. But that's not to say one's less than the other. Another thing to keep in mind if you're going to go to the Delta 14 stock as well, since we're here, before I put the rifle back together, you may have to do some Dremel work on the inside of the Delta 14 stock. I had to do some on the inside where the receiver sits, and most importantly, we had to do a lot there where the trigger fits in. And I would suggest with the Delta 14 stock to just take a pencil and copy and trace the outline of how your M1A's current stock, the factory stock that comes with the contours there with them curves right here. I would trace them and then Dremel them out exactly like how it is on the factory stock before you put the M1A into the Delta 14. Oops, I hit the light. That's hard. That's easy to do when you got your pressure pad slaved to the foregrip. But yes, those are the internal upgrades I've made so far to the M1A. Further upgrades I intend to do would be, I'm going to try and put a titanium gas piston in the gas tube, and I'm going to get one of those Smith Enterprise extended bolt releases and put on it as well. So all in all, in conclusion, for the first year that I've owned this rifle, all the things I did to it to make it tactical, that I really didn't need to, but I did because, you know, why not? I could have made this rifle just as tactical as it is that you see it by leaving it in its original stock. But I chose to do this because I wanted the Delta 14 stock on it. I'd been reading up on them, and I was like, you know what? It's like, I may as well just bite the bullet and put one on my Scout Squad. But all in all, as it is, this is a hell of a battle rifle. This thing shoots ammo all day, eats it like the Cookie Monster on that's Rabbid. He's eating all the different types of cookies. He's eating vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, vanilla. I don't know if I said vanilla already. White chocolate, dark chocolate, raisin cookies. Those weird like fruit cake cookies that you see sometimes on Christmas. It eats it all. And that's what this M14 is. It's a Rabbid Cookie Monster. And it eats everything I feed it. And it fucks up whatever I point and pull the trigger at. So it's an excellent rifle. And the fact that it's an M14 or M1A Scout Squad NBS. Fuck, I just call it an M14. That's what it is. It's an M14. But regardless of the fact that it's the NBS, you could do these same upgrades with a regular standard Scout Squad that isn't been Cerakoted. That doesn't make no difference. I will say the quality control Springfield has offered with this rifle that I've seen in comparison is top notch, and I would say that the function and fit's a little bit better than how my loaded came. That's not saying the loaded fails anywhere. I can just feel a difference when I lock this one up, even in its original stock, than I do like the loaded. But the loaded, you know, it's very accurate. It's same thing goes for it that I've said about this. It too is a Cookie Monster, a Rabbid Cookie Monster. So all in all, very excellent rifle. I've had no issues with it, and in 1 year I've fallen in love with it. It's my go-to 308 when I'm wanting to plink, because like I said, it eats everything. It'll eat this cheap-ass PMC X-Tac and destroy whatever I'm shooting at. Make decent groups. I mean, it's not like ballpark accuracy. You're not going to be winning no long-range competition with this or bench rest match with it, but it doesn't really need to be that. Could you make it that accurate? Oh yeah. Same with my other one. My other one is accurate, very accurate, and I can make it even more accurate by adding stuff to it. I need to get better scope for it, and I'm going to, and I'm also going to glass bed it. And I could do that with this as well. But I don't need to. They serve two different roles. This one's an up close meat eater, heavy hammer battle rifle, and it gets good groups of cheap ammo, and you know, it's just reliable. That's all the more that you could ask for. I will say this too, I am the only person on YouTube that I'm aware of that has an NBS M1A and has done videos on it. I kind of think the NBS series has went under the radar because they offer a standard NBS with a 22-inch barrel, and then they offer the Scout Squad, which is what I've got with the Cerakoted flat dark earth stock and receiver and barrel from the factory. And I kind of think people just overlooked it or just haven't known. But I think I'm the only one that's running NBS, and it runs fine. I have nothing but praise for this gun. I will continue to do upgrades. Like I said, I'm going to get a titanium gas piston for it, or I'll experiment with the gas pistons. I'll get 2 or 3 of them and run in it, because it's just a simple switching gas pistons out on this thing. It's just as simple as removing the gas plug. Screw this out. Just move it. You don't even have to unscrew this. Just move it out of the way, pop the piston out, and put a new piston in, and lock it back down. It's that simple. So I'll play around with different gas pistons. I'm going to put an extended bolt release on it, and then look around and see what other little internal upgrades I can add to this rifle to help it out even more. And same with optics. I have the ACSS, primary arms SLX 3 on there right now. But, that's just one optic. I had the SIG LVPO Tango 6 on there. Forget it. No, it was the MSR 6. 1 to 6 on there. And it did pretty good with that too. So I'm still working with this little bad boy. That optic right there, just by itself on this style of rifle, it'd be all you'd need really. But you know, with that Delta 14 stock, that also opens the door to other upgrades that I can do. So you know, the world's my oyster, and I'm gonna keep working around and play with it and take you guys along the way every step. Try to, as I get time. But all in all, 1 year in, this thing's a monster. It will, you know, do its job, and it does it well. It's a powerhouse shooting that 308 7.62 NATO, and I absolutely love it. So here's to, you know, another 10 years with an M1A. The M1A Scout Squad, or not M1A Scout Squad, the M1A Loaded, I will have owned it for 10 years in 2025. That's only 2 years from now. So I'm still working with it, playing with it, figuring all the stuff out with it, getting it in its new stock, all good to go. So the journey is just beginning. Until next time, guys, this has been Pliskin by 51mm. Catch y'all in the next video. Peace.